pull. There are a few things that make a good painting, a good landscape. There's this diminishing shapes, diminishing forms, diminishing color. So I'm going from pure color to softened color. And this idea of broken horizontals, this idea of banded horizontals that you can break with your verticals. So what I'm doing now is laying in, getting a feel for these horizontal banding. In this case, this band is water, this band may be grass. But as I lay in these bands, I'm going to look at the verticals and make sure that it provides interest along those edges. It's not permanent, it's just a game. And this line looks a little strong. I'm going down a little, its slope is a little strong, so I'm going to change that. Drop that down. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up some greens for this. Put in another coat across the sky, across that mountain ridge back there. And I can't get this clean enough, so I'm going to scrape it off and put it back down with a clean color. And then we'll take a little break. And I'm really brightening up this color, and I'm going to use a lot of paint this time without much liquid. That means a clean brush. So I'm going to scoop up a good deal of paint, and I'm just going to start to block it in. And one of the reasons I like to use a lot of paint at this early stage, once I've gotten it sort of laid out, is it gives me a good, when it dries, I've got a really nice surface to play against. And believe it or not, I paint landscapes, but I'm really an abstract artist, and I just love the idea of getting as much paint and as much brush stroke down as I can and throw in enough realism to justify it. That's kind of the game I play. Because I just love paint. So the more paint I can get on, and the more I can set myself up to put that paint on, the happier I am. So I'm really putting some surface down here so I can see through there. And I want to give myself the opportunity. It's hard to come back and do this stuff, so I'm going to give myself the option for some light coming through that mass. And I had about a large, I'd say 2 tubes of this white squeezed out and about a tube of the mixed black, and it's almost all gone now. Well, the black is, the white's still there. And when I'm laying out a color, a wedge of color like this, I tend to try to, even at this early stage, get a shift in color. So you notice this is going from a yellow or a greener blue to a slightly less green blue. And then I'm going to mass in this mound back there. So I'm going to take the rest of that color, mix it in with this color, get a little more light, and probably a greener reference. And it's early, so this doesn't really matter that much, but I want it to be, this first layer should have something that I don't want, I want close to the finished color, but not on the finished color, so I can put another layer on top and make it sparkle, or sparkle more. And that tends to be keeping the same value, but changing the color. So what I'm really doing is just massing in this form, so I've got a kind of a solid mass, scrubbed in color without any real hard edges. And I want to see a little bit of it on this side, get a feel of an arc to it. And I'm going to take some of this water and pull it around the corner. Okay, then I'm going to take my mixed black, which I ran out of. So I'll make another quick pile of it. And a little lemon yellow, and make a nice dark green. And I'm taking all the rest of the liquid and white off this. Can you hear me still? Yeah. That's a lot of paint. Can you see that? That's a hunk of paint. And I'm going to take my that same brush I was using for that mountain, and I'm just going to start to mass in this wedge. and I wanted it to be a purer, darker value, so I'm just gonna block that in, again against the shape, and I'm putting in this horizontal banding, and I'm just referencing it. So as I come forward, I'm gonna probably add more yellow and lighten it up a bit. But I'm not gonna overly mix it. Put in the next band. And my band should be getting bigger as I come forward, and that one isn't. So I'm gonna have to jump in there. I'm gonna put in the next band a little lighter, a little more yellow. And this is where I'm starting to put down paint, so I have this surface to react to. And then lighter again, and a little more yellow. And I want the paint to stick up, so I'm gonna load that up. The brush has gotten dirty, so I'll take a clean one. And it's a bigger brush because I want a bigger color shape. And I try to work a little faster than I can think, because if I think, I get in trouble. It's true at home too. Thinking isn't always good. And water tends to step back, so I'm going to make sure I have that shape that looks pretty nice. And I'm paying attention to these marks now. So I'm going to use those to help me end my shapes. And just so I can see this water's edge, I'm going to take, since I've got so much yellow in the painting, I'm going to take a little bit of a purple and the large brush and just draw out the water's edge a bit so I can be more comfortable with what's happening. That's that edge, so that's going to step back. That's going to step back. Here's this edge. And I want to get down to here. Okay. That's a good place to stop, and I'm going to sit back and look at the piece and look at the weight before I go any further, because it's still nice and wet, and that'll give me a chance to move my edges and change things. I want to look at the size of this dark mass compared to these other distances and just get a feel for the space.